Okay, with all that said, I love this next story. Because this next story is network marketing, okay? And it's a story. Because everybody still will ask, I'll get after this meeting, people come and ask me, now, what order do you do exposures in? People, there is no right order. I could bring any 10 of you an interview about how you were exposed in this business. One would say, my next door neighbor handed me a tape, called me up 5 times, finally listened to a call-in line. Finally, there was a PBR down the street. I went to that. I finally went to the weekly meeting. I saw it. They had a training. I went to the training. I finally decided to do it. Another person would say, I bumped into a person. I didn't even know him. At lunch, we started talking. We exchanged cards. That night, he sent me to his internet site. I signed up that night on the internet. It's different every single time. That's why I hate trainings that go, this is how we do it. Because it's different every single time. I've never seen one person brought in this company the same as another person, really. It's different. We're all a unique set of circumstances, okay? And that's why I don't know how you can train exactly how to do it. You can train how to think. You can train concepts like 2 exposures a day, but you can't say which one in which order. Because it's different every single time. You teach them to have the right philosophies, the right attitudes to do it, okay? And just stay in the process and it'll start happening. But people always want to say, well, how'd this happen? How do you make this happen? Well, I'm going to tell you the true story. And how I told you how I built Germany, how I went over there, but how Germany really happened. How I built the largest organization in all of Germany, which is now the largest organization in all of Europe, which is one of the most successful organizations in the history of network marketing, okay? Here's what happened. One day, this is a true story, I woke up. I turned on TV while I was getting ready. And all of a sudden on TV, they were talking about a franchise show in Albuquerque. So I looked at that, watched that, and it was a business opportunity franchise show. So I thought, hey, maybe I should get in that, okay? I'll try anything. So I called the franchise people. They were doing that show. And I said, hey, do you have an opening? They said, yeah. And I go, what does it take? And they told me myself. I said, okay. My day changed on Friday morning. I wasn't going to do that Friday. I changed everything. I went out and had to buy stuff to make a booth. I had to make little signs. I had to put together little packages. And then I showed up Saturday morning at my little franchise show. Successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do, okay? I did what a lot of people want to do right there. Never done that. I'm sitting at the franchise show. I'm sitting there, and I got my little stupid booth put up. There's really nice ones out there. And here I am, a guy, top of his class in business school, Texas Instruments, Center of America, now sitting there with my little network marketing company, handing out my little brochures. I mean, I was out of my zone, okay? But if those stupid people can make that kind of money, I was going to figure this out. This was early on in my thing, okay? So I was sitting there, and across from me was another guy doing franchise. He was the bear man. He was blowing up balloons around bears. You ever seen that? So that means I was really uncomfortable. If the guys from Texas Instruments could see me now, bear man and me, okay? So sitting there, and people would come walking in, and I would try and hand them my information. I was learn knowledge, activity knowledge, working real fast. I was going, I was trying to give them stuff, and people wouldn't pay attention to me, okay? I was going, like, they'd walk towards me, and as soon as I'd face them, they would turn and look at bear man. I was going, why are you here if you don't want to talk to me? So I was trying to do things. I was trying to figure out how to do this, and so eventually I said, well, I got to figure out a way to get this information in people's hands. So what I'd do is I would watch people come around the turn there, and I'd look at, and if I saw somebody I thought looked like somebody I really wanted to talk to, I'd look at what their shoes were. This is a true story, okay? Look what their shoes were, and I'd turn. I'd be sitting there like this. When I saw their shoes, I knew Bear Man was looking at them, so they're looking at me, okay? So I'd look up and say, hey, and I'd start talking to them, trying to get information. They freak out, okay? And I get some information in some people's hands and not in some people's hands. I had 300 packages. My goal was to get in people's hands and try and get their names, okay? That was my goal that weekend. Get 300 packages out, maybe get 10, 20 names written down. That was my whole goal for being there those 2 days. So I was sitting there and I started doing this information. So I'd pick up people's shoes and learn. And I finally figured out a line. I went through like 10 lines. I finally came up with a line. I was sitting there, saw a pair of shoes, sitting there, saw him. I turned around. I knew Bear Man was looking at him, so he was looking at me, okay? I turned around and I go, would you be interested in some great propaganda? And because I was so honest, I go, yeah. And they'd stop, they'd laugh. I go, I give it to them. Conversation was happening. I did that line for the whole weekend, got my 300 packages out, got about 25 names, okay? That was that weekend. One of them was a doctor that lived in Albuquerque, Dr. Shapiro. He came by, and, I got the information in his hands. I got his name. We had a little conversation. It felt good. I was getting like 1 out of 10. It was an ugly experience, okay? Followed up with him. It took me about a month and a half to finally get him, to come to a meeting. He came to a meeting in Albuquerque. He liked what he saw. Okay, so then we sat down. We had our little Getting Started Right meeting. Went through the training with him. And that's when Germany was happening. So I had added to my training Germany. Do you know any Germans? And he goes, no, I don't know any Germans. I go, Well, everybody knows somebody who knows somebody. 6 people can network the entire world. I had this whole talk. You know somebody who knows a German, just keep asking. He goes, what do you mean? I go, just in casual conversation, when you're talking to somebody, ask them if they know a German. So about 2 weeks later, he comes back to the meeting, because he'd been trained, go to the meetings and trainings, okay? He goes, I found a German. I go, what do you mean? He goes, my next door neighbor was cutting his lawn. We're talking. I said, hey, by the way, Bob, do you know any Germans? He goes, I know a German. Over in Germany. He goes, really? And so he came back. He goes, I have a German. And he wrote all the information. I said, well, great. And so I said, well, send this information to him. I'm coming over there in a couple of months, okay? And so then he comes back to me. He says, aren't you going to be in Miami in about 2 weeks doing a meeting? I said, yeah. And he goes, he's going to be in Miami because he's going on vacation. I said, well, have him come to the meeting. So I went to Miami. I did the meeting. Afterwards, Vim comes up to me, starts talking. I go, hey, Vim. We talk, everything he likes. And he goes, I want to do this. I said, you got to see this. He can speak English. So I said, Germany's going to open. You could be on the ground floor. You saw what we're doing here. Got all excited, okay? I said, go back, send a bunch of information, go back to Germany. We're going to open up. 3 months go by. Germany doesn't open. The company has to delay it like 4 months. Vim goes, hey, man, I'm getting ready. What am I going to do? And I said to him, Vim, you're going to have to go to England. He goes, what do you mean go to England? I go, England's open. I go, you got to know some people in England. Go over there and do it in England for about 4 months. And get a little organization, go and learn a lot, go through, learn knowledge, activity knowledge. And when Germany opens, you'll really be ready because you've gone through it. He took his wife, Birgit, and they went to England, okay? So they had a little flat in England, and the meeting was over here, and they were doing their little thing, building a little group in England when they lived in Germany, okay? And they would walk to the meeting every week because they're going to the meeting like I teach them to do. Well, there was a painter painting a house on the way. And one day they stopped and talked to the painter. And the painter, and they go, hey, do you know anybody in Germany? Because I taught him to ask, do you know people in Germany when you're in England? Because more people in England know people in Germany than people in the United States know people in Germany. I said, you can get a lot of people besides people you know in Germany, okay? So this guy says, yeah, I know this guy in Germany. He's real big. He's a successful guy, okay? Well, when Germany opened, when I was in Hamburg, that was Wim Plonger, the guy that came over in Miami, was there, and there was that guy. Those 2 guys were the ones that went with me the whole time. Those 2 are millionaires, multimillionaires. They're the biggest organizations there are in all Germany, okay? Now, I want to ask you a question. How did I plan that? You think one day I got up and I said, okay, I've got to figure out how to build this largest organization in Germany. I've got to think this one through for a while. I got it. I'm going to turn on the TV. There's going to be a franchise show. There's going to be a franchise show. I'd say, hey, I'm going to get in the franchise show. I'll call them and say, can I get in the franchise show? They say, yeah, what do I do? They give me stuff. I go to work on it. I get my signs together. I get my things together. I go down there, sit there, thank God they put it across from the bear man because people would look at the bear man. He'd be looking at me. So I sat there, tried to talk to people. People won't talk to me. So I finally figured out, if I look at their shoes, I'll watch their shoes, I'll turn to talk to them, but they still won't like my lines. So I'll keep on working on lines. I'll finally come to this great line. Would you like me some propaganda? So they go, yeah. So I kept on doing that. I got my 300 packages out. I got my 25 things done. Finally, thank God, this doctor from Albuquerque comes through, Dr. Shapiro, and he got the information. It'll take me about, maybe 3 weeks to get him to a meeting. He'll finally come to the meeting. He'll like it, thank God. He comes to training, and I'll be talking about Germany. I'll say, do you know any Germans? He says, no, I don't know any Germans. But I keep on telling him, find a German. Thank God his next-door neighbor, Bob, was cutting the lawn that day. Thank God it wasn't raining. There can't be raining, okay? So he asked that guy, you know anybody in Germany? He says, yeah, I know somebody in Germany. He brings that back to me, and I say, okay, let's get that guy. He says, well, he's going to be in Miami. Thank God I'm going to be training in Miami that weekend so we can meet. We met. He goes back to Germany. I said, be ready. We're going to be opening up in a few months. But no, we don't open up. And thank God he don't open up because I say, you got to go to England. Perfect plan. Don't open up. You got to get into England. He goes to England. I say, now you're in England. You got to go to the meeting. He's going to the meeting, and he talks to that guy painting the house. Thank God that person's going to be painting the house because that guy's got to be painting the house. He has that guy that painting the house. You know somebody in Germany? The guy says, yeah. He talks to that person, and we're going to all meet together in Hamburg and travel around the country and make the biggest organization. I got it figured out. That's exactly how I'm going to do it. You think that's what I did? Quit trying to figure it out and do it. That's what I'm trying to say. All I ever did is I did it, and I did it, and I did it, and I did it, and the people around me started doing it, and doing it, and doing it, and doing it, and they started doing it, and it worked, okay? And I did simple little things that were duplicatable. I was persistent. I was loyal to the 10 core commitments. I never did anything more. I protected my organization from everything. I was a core person, attracted core people. I stayed on core all the time, and it led to that, okay? You know how many places it could have fallen apart in there? You know how many times it could have fallen apart? But all I did was stupid little things that seemed to make no difference at all in the act of doing them. I just did them consistently over and over and over in time, okay?